I wanted to prove that like you can be plant-based and still be very active and stuff like that. Like there are so many different like plant-based athletes that like are doing so good. There's so many different foods out there. Like I probably wouldn't have eaten this like the lion's mane and the oyster mushrooms and tempeh and tofu as much if I didn't go vegan. And everybody needs a vegan friend because like if I tell you like where to go, or if I make you a food or make you a recipe, everyone's going to be like, oh wow, this is delicious. So my name is Johnny Morillo, also known as Johnny Meatless online. I am a food content creator, but I am a keen advocate of running as well. So, and I have a few different marathons this year and races towards the end of the year.
Man, like there's so much I want to delve into. Like there's so many kind of elements of what you do and who you are. And let's kind of start with, like you almost mentioned, you gave your second name, but then you also gave another second name in Meatless, because that's kind of your surname as well at this point with like everything you're doing online.
Yeah.
When did that first, I guess let's start with kind of that sort of part of your cooking personality. Like when did that start as a passion before we then get into kind of the Meatless part of that?
For me, I've always loved cooking and stuff like that. Any excuse, I think I always try and think of what was like one of the first things I tried to cook. And one of the first things I tried to cook-ish, not even cook, it was just basically I was heating up like hot dogs when I was younger, and I used to just try and make it look pretty and stuff like that, and like try and do this, like slice the sausages and just make it look pretty, and then eventually try and ask my dad, can I use the cooker and stuff like that? And I think it was like basic, like trying to make onions or something like that. And then my dad is also he's always been a big inspiration to me. He's when I was younger, he used to have like a food market selling like Asian food down Portobello Road. So I used to help him, forced to help him on a Friday. He used to do Fridays and Saturdays, but I had school on Fridays. So I used to help him on like Saturdays and stuff like that. So that used to be like a 9:30 shift to like maybe like 2 o'clock and stuff like that. Just helping him in like Portobello Road, serve some Asian food. Yeah, and then I think I've just always I personally just love food. I've always just been that child to just ask about like what's being served and what's being what's on the menu and stuff like that. Like if I can do anything, can I help and stuff like that. Yeah, I've just loved food. I've just thoroughly loved food.
Do you love it more yourself, or do you love sharing it more? Because I often like love the kind of comparison when you speak to people that kind of like yourself that are either chefs or creators. And a lot of the time it's like that secondary thing. It's like I love cooking it, but I love
Yeah.
sharing it as well.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I think for me, I love sharing the food out and stuff like that. Like if you make the food, like and you know it's good, like you might as well share it and give it to people and stuff like that. And I always like any excuse whenever I have like leftover food, I always try and message my friends. I'm like, who wants like this food today? I've just made it. Like then everyone's like, yes, please, yes, please. And I live in West London, and no one lives in West London, so it's my excuse to be like, who wants it? And then they're like, oh, you live so far. And I was like, well, you live far.
Yeah, it's like, but if you want it, you got to come west. That's literally
Yeah.
it, isn't it? Which I love. What about the vegan part of it? When did that start? When did you decide that was kind of going to be the road you went down?
I went vegan in 2018. I was living in Australia, and then afterwards, there's like three reasons. One was simply to save money. In Australia, Australia's if you don't know, it's a pretty expensive country. And then second, I worked on very briefly, I worked on a chicken farm as part of the previous doing 90 days of agriculture work. And afterwards, I kind of saw the conditions of like how like chickens are in cages or in like the farm and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I literally said to my friend, like, this is why people go vegetarian slash vegan. Like, this
Right.
is pretty inhumane and stuff like that. And then after then, I was in and out, just trying to like delve in. And then my friend was like, you keep on going vegan and you keep on going back to eating meat. I was like, make your mind up. Like, can you go vegan for like a week? And I'm like, yeah, I can. And my stubbornness were like, this is a long week now. This is one of the longest. It has been 6 years deep.
Did you find it difficult in the first instance?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think I didn't really do it correctly. Like I was very new into it. So rather than looking into ingredients, I looked at the may contain parts or like traces. So I was like, it may contain egg, it may contain milk, and I was like, wow. I was like, damn. And I think I did that for like a week, and then I realized I was actually doing it incorrectly.
Okay.
And then yeah, then I just kind of just and then that's when I stopped, and my friend was like, "What are you trying to do?" And then I think it was like the new year, and I was like, "Okay, let's new 2018. Let's just try and go vegan for like a week." Um, and then yeah, so it's been a long week.
I love that phrase. It's been a long week. Did it kind of almost feel like a rediscovery? Because you mentioned kind of like your childhood and growing up, cooking and being around food, but like
Mm.
it must have felt like a bit of a rediscovery of kind of what you could do with those ingredients as well. Because
Oh,
I would imagine like growing up, there was a lot of meat involved and stuff.
oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, it's coming from an Asian background, Filipino. I feel like the Filipino culture is very like meat orientated. So they serve a lot of like pork, beef, chicken, fish as well. So and then yeah, I think I will say that there for me when I look at the menu like previous, I always like try to find like the most high protein packed meal, and I'm like, I'm gonna get that like surf and turf and with extra prawns and extra X, Y, and Z. And then like obviously as time goes, you kind of learn and you kind of establish like there's so many different foods out there. Like I probably wouldn't have eaten this like the lion's mane and the oyster mushrooms and tempeh and tofu as much if I didn't go vegan and stuff like that. Like it's always been
Mm.
there, but I just wouldn't have never like eaten it.
I think your page is also proof. Like if you don't follow Johnny, I'll put all the links and everything in the description of this. You should. Like your page is proof that, you know, people will say, oh, going vegetarian is boring. Being vegan is boring. Like there is nothing boring about it if you look at some of the recipes you cook, right?
Thank you. Yeah, that's why I always try and say like I try and like think of like the skeptics and try and think of um why people will go to the page or like why people might assume that like obviously I've been like everyone will always say like oh being vegan or vegetarian you're just eating a salad and stuff like that, and I'm like no, technically not. Like there's so much food, and I feel like the same people are trying to be like naive and stuff like that. And I always have like different battles on like different comments about like people suggesting like, "Oh, vegans are doing this, vegans are doing that," and I'm just like, and I sometimes I just I try to have a conversation with these people, and I'm like, what
Yeah.
are you here for? Like,
Yeah.
what is the purpose?
Yeah. It's strange as well because it's like, it's a personal choice whether you decide to do it or not. Like me personally, like I do eat meat, but what I
Yeah,
like is when I look at a page like yours, it gives me the kind of the gateway thought of, oh, right, there is other ways of doing this. Oh, let me try this or let me implement this into my diet. And I think
yeah,
when people kind of just target it, to me, that doesn't make any sense because it's like, why are you targeting what in essence is your choice? If that makes sense.
yeah. No, 100%. Like, there's always like random. I think Facebook is very bad. Like, it's
Yeah.
Like it's when I look at the comments, it's so far different in comparison to like just like Instagram and stuff like that. And I'm just like, this is a Facebook. Like I can literally see your face, like Annie
It's in the name.
from
It's in the name.
like Annie from Shropshire and stuff like that. And I'm like, I was like, what the? And yeah, I think there was one recent one. It's like, I think I microwaved like aubergine and stuff like that. And then people are like, oh my God, you're microwaving stuff. And I'm like, I gave you, if you watched the video, I gave you two options.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I said, you can either steam it or you can microwave it. I'm going to microwave it. And then people obviously caught wind of me microwave. And I'm like, it's your option. I gave you an option. I didn't say you can do it. I said, I'll do it. But yeah, it's just an amusing battle to see and stuff like that, which I love to entertain.
It's a strange thing as well what people get upset about. Like
Yeah.
why are you getting upset about you microwaving an aubergine? That literally makes no sense.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I think of this. I'm like, it doesn't affect your life. Like I
Yeah.
literally given you. I was like, you out of everything you caught wind of, you microwaving, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure people will be like, oh my God, microwaving is bad, etc., etc. And I'm like, look, like if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Like I'm still
Yeah.
here. I'm still alive, thankfully.
Have you had moments with mates like it was when you mentioned like people coming west come for the food and stuff. Have you had
Mm.
moments with friends that are like they almost can't believe it? They're like, "What? This is vegan?" Like, have you had
Oh
those
yeah.
times?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's just always a very entertaining thing when like I feel like I think I said it on a voiceover or a video. I was like, everybody needs like a vegan friend because if you don't have a vegan friend, and then you just try tofu off the bat, you might have like bad a bad time with it or you didn't like it and stuff like that. And also then after that you will always think that vegan or plant-based food doesn't taste good and stuff like that. Um and so that's why I said everybody needs a vegan friend because like if I tell you like where to go or if I make you a food or make you a recipe, everyone's gonna be like, oh wow, this is and lots of my friends were like, oh my God, is this vegan? I'm like, yeah, it's like it's literally like tofu, blah blah blah, etc. etc. And I'm like, oh my God, this is delicious.
Yeah.
It's always like and I love proving my friends wrong um, in a way that they're like, "Oh my God, I could actually go vegan and stuff like that." But then, oh, you know, I love to eat meat too much, and I'm like, well, it's totally up to you. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's always here. Like, you can obviously always eat meat, but I feel like people should be open to like eating plant-based meals, more plant focused, just having a bit more like a bit more focus on like you know like fiber and all of the plants and things that you won't be able to get from all of like meats and stuff like that. So
What's your opinion on sort of alternatives, like ultra processed alternatives? Like, do you have an opinion on them? Because I did briefly do a stint of being vegetarian, and
mm,
I found I found that I was ending up going to a lot of these alternatives and actually then looking at ingredients and stuff like that. And I think now looking back at that point,
mm,
I'm like, I should have just focused more on the plant part of the vegetarianism rather than,
mm,
oh, I can eat this southern fried random
yeah,
chicken thing. That makes
I
sense.
think and this is my honest answer. I think meat alternatives is a nice gateway for people to experiment with like plant-based food, vegan options and stuff like that. And like myself and like many people, I think if you're so acquainted with like eating like bolognese or eating maybe like a sandwich, like a chicken sandwich and stuff like that, and then like you're not acquainted with like tofu or tempeh legumes and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's a great gateway of like introducing. Oh, by the way, like you can easily like everything that you make from a spaghetti, there is a vegan mince and stuff like that. And like you can easily replace it. Like you want to get some protein, like you can just have maybe like this soya protein from from a brand and stuff like that. Like I feel like it just makes, and I always say that when people try and go like vegan or plant based, and I'm like, you can just there are, especially living in like England, like there are so many meat alternatives that you can like try and stuff like that. So like if you're not used to tofu tempeh, you can like at least introduce this meat alternative, like even if it's one meal a day, and then you can change that to 2 meals, and then you can change that to like a whole day of being like you can do meatless Mondays, or you can do like a Friday, you can do a Sunday or Saturday, and then like see how often you can try and introduce like plant-based options. But like you can still eat your own choices and stuff like that. I think it's just a great way of like introducing meals. And I also say like you can still be vegan and still be very unhealthy, because then you can just eat like chicken dippers like every week. You can eat like this, you can eat like all of these meat alternatives. Um Chicken, like the M&S chicken Kiev is like one of the best. Like you can eat that every day. You can still be vegan and stuff like that. But like I feel like you just need to have a good balance of like eating plant focused meals, more like vegetables and stuff like that. And then like when you're feeling a bit more confident, introduce like legumes, like the beans, the tofu, the tempehs, and you're like, okay, cool. Like I feel like it's all about like balance for that person and trying to get acquainted and used to eating a variation in your diet or
I
lifestyle.
think, yeah, I think people don't maybe give it a fair roll of the dice if they try it and they do just go straight down that route and not kind of experiment with other things as well, like the more plant-based stuff. Like in terms of
Yeah.
when I say plant-based stuff, I mean like the tofu, the tempeh, and stuff like you've mentioned there. Like, so would you say that's probably the best way of doing it then? Like taking steps slowly into it rather than what a lot of people do in a lot of parts of life, right? They just drop everything and go full bore into it. Normally that fails. So it should be
Yeah.
the thing where you take steps.
Yeah, I think it's called cold turkey and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
where you just introduce, where you just completely change your life and stuff like that, and you just change. Like some people have done it, some people haven't and stuff like that. And I know a lot of my followers, um, sometimes the partner is like vegan, and then the other partner isn't. And then also they're like, how do I like introduce more plant? I'm like, well, honestly, if you take it step by step and stuff like that, like have a meal, see if you like it. If you like the meal, have it meatless Mondays, have a weekend, um from 1 day to 2 days to 3 days, and then after see how you get used to like eating like just less meat in your diet. And then if it's like i- introducing less chicken or less red meat, um so be it. And then also maybe you can go into fish, and then like I think it's all a good balance of like trying to adjust what you're used to and stuff like that. So like just trying to be open-minded about what you might eat, like even changing your dairy milk to like plant milk and stuff like that. Just making like the kind swaps that you think that you be able to do and stuff.
It's super interesting actually, because as you're saying that, I'm like thinking about running, right? And
Yeah,
if people don't run and they want to start, you're not going to come straight into running and be like, hey, I'm going to run a 50-mile week. Like, because you're just going to get injured and you're just going to
yeah,
fail. Like,
yeah,
you would never do that. And I think maybe referencing the same thing to diet is quite a powerful thing to do. Like, just to come in and, yeah, as you say, maybe there are a few people that can do it. I guess for the vast majority of people, they can't just come in and be like, I'm vegan and that's it. It is
mm.
taking steps.
Yeah. I always say that. Like I definitely say that, especially to running and stuff like that. Um, I had a nice interaction with an Uber driver. Like I think
They're the
it was
best.
after, yeah. And afterwards, I think I must have finished a marathon and stuff like that. like it was the day before, and afterwards we had a conversation. And then at first I was just like, I wasn't talkative. I love talking, but I was like that day I was like I just did not want to talk. And also then I think as from the beginning he was trying to build conversation. I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk, but I was like, you know what, like I'll talk and stuff like that. And then like from my view, like he was like a much larger individual. And also then the conversations led to curiosity, and the curiosity was just like he was basically in a position where like he's obviously an Uber driver, and he's not as like he doesn't move as much.
Yeah.
And then he just wants to be able to like move and change and just potentially run and stuff. And then afterwards, so I was just giving him tips like you should like going just being active. Like I was like from your Uber, from when you have a break to your like Uber passengers, like if you just go for a walk for like 5 minutes, go for a walk for 5 minutes. And then because he was rather a big individual, so I'm just like, go for a walk for 5 minutes, feeling confident, like feeling good, take a seat. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
You know, there's no rush. You've walked for 5 minutes. You stayed active for 5 minutes. If you're feeling more confident, do 10 minutes, do 15 minutes. And also when you have the confidence of like just walking for a longer period and stuff like that, maybe you can just introduce a light jog. Like it could be 10 seconds. And afterwards you can stop for 5 minutes, walk. And then as time goes, you can like increase your jog and decrease your breaks. And then as you go, you can just see how you feel. I think it's all about building confidence. Don't
Yeah.
think about whatever you're thinking like you can't do this, you can't do that. Like you're making a change. I think one step at a time is better than no steps. That's what I say.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I think as well, like we a lot of us fall into this trap, particularly like working from home or whatever. And everybody has periods in their life where they feel more sedentary. If you've got a busy
Yeah.
work period, you get up, bang, open the laptop, and you're just like, I've just got to get going now.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can find yourself doing that all day till 7 o'clock, and you literally haven't moved. And I think you have to remind yourself a lot of the time to be like, this actually makes me feel better. So like, get
Yeah.
out, kind of do something. I guess your running journey personally, let's get onto that.
Mm.
I want to touch on the kind of correlation between running and diet just quickly, because I know you will have had this question a lot, but a lot of people will
It's all
say,
good.
hey, Johnny, man, like, you know, you're doing all this running, like you're running all these marathons, like surely you need meat to recover. Like, what
Oh,
do you say to those sort of people?
I just think like I just try and give myself a like I'm like look, here I am, like I'm on my like fourth marathon. I've done my whatever. I For me, I've always said that like for my Instagram, I wanted to prove that like you can be plant-based and still be very active and stuff like that. And I say, look, I'm a 34-year-old individual still trying to do the best of my ability to like run, exercise, move, like compete with like my friends. And like it's always amusing when I tell my friends how old I am. They're my friends for like months, years now, and they're like, "Wait, what? Like you're 30?" I think I posted my Whoop thing the other day, and they said, "I honestly thought you were 21 years old," or and I was just like, "No, I'm actually 34," because they were trying to see the difference of like what's your actual age versus your age. But yeah, I always say like like you don't necessarily need to eat meat to stay active. Like there are so many different like plant-based athletes that like are doing so good and like staying so strong and stuff like that. And like if I was able to show you that like you can still be vegan, plant-based, and able to like showcase like I'm still active. I still have an
Yeah.
active lifestyle. I think people say I'm probably one of the busiest individuals out there. But it's all about balance and stuff like that. But yeah, I think like, people need to be open about like you can still like And I think for especially endurance running, you don't really necessarily need to have protein. You need to be having the carbs. You need to be having all of like the good things, and just make sure you're staying active, drinking water, drinking like your vegetables and stuff like that. Of course, you can have meat and stuff like that, but like I feel like meat, you just from my previous time, I just feel heavy and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I think it's a choice of that person. You can there's so many people that I know that still eat meat and stuff like that, and credit like credit is due and credit is given, like But like I feel like you shouldn't patronize like the like just because you have a different lifestyle doesn't mean like you're not able to be like active and go running and stuff like that. I feel like what?
For sure. And I think you saying, I think I've got one of the most busy lifestyles of anybody. Like, I think before we hit record proved that, because we were just chatting about Johnny's weekend. And it was like, I had traveled to Shrewsbury, did a half marathon, traveled home from Shrewsbury after the half marathon, got back to London, traveled across London, went to see Oasis, so like, whoa, I was like, oh my God, there's so much going on here. So like, I think in your lifestyle, you're proving that, energy levels certainly aren't hit with kind of living with a plant-based diet. I want to talk about like running highlights and things like that. But first, when did this kind of become a thing? When did you start on your running journey, lacing up a pair of trainers and getting out there?
Oh, do you know? Well, I've personally been such an active individual and stuff like that. Like I've always loved uh like physical education. I remember when in year 7 we had like PE week,
Yeah.
and then that means you could do everything. You can do like football, basketball, athletics, and stuff like that. And then I remember I got chosen for my class to like partake in like the like 100-meter sprints and stuff like that, because they realized that Johnny's actually fast and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, sick. And then like as time goes, I've always stayed active. I've loved like any reason to run. I did lacrosse in university, and I was a midi, and the midi was basically the one always running up and down. And also then I did CrossFit, and then before lockdown, and then also during lockdown, I was like, ah, I don't want to be carrying all of these like dumbbells to the park and stuff like that. And then I felt like I think I jumped on the bandwagon like everyone else, like um trying to like run and stuff like that. And then I think I remember I had like a pair of random Asics. I think these were the only running shoes I had. And I was like, oh, I'll put these Asics on. And then I think I went for a run. And I remember one of the first times I was like, I thought I was Rocky Balboa. So I put on like a hoodie, I put like a tracksuit and stuff like that, like like these heavy joggers, and then went for a run, and then I think I ran maybe like 200 meters, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually profusely sweating already. I was like, what the? I was like, no. So I went back home and I changed, and I was just like went for a run, and then I got shin splints. Um, and afterwards I was like, oh, I don't actually have any running shoes. Um, and then at that time, I think I was very into Ross Edgley.
Yep.
And then he was like a Vivo barefoot advocate, and I really want to be him and stuff like that. Like he's like smashing. He just did like a triathlon and stuff like that. Like doing a triathlon with a log. So like I think I went on eBay and I ordered like a pair of like Vivo barefoot shoes. At this time, no one knew about it, and then so I ordered it. I think it was like 30 quid. 'Cause I was like, I really want to get my minimalistic like running, and then like I started running during lockdown, and then I remember um I was curious, and I was like, oh, I um I think I was running a 5K, and then I was like, oh, how far is like half a marathon? And also then I think I must have like Googled it running, and I was like, oh, it's 21.1, I think. And then like on my phone, and I was like, oh, so I literally ran around London. But I also know that that day during lockdown was it was snowing. So I did an unofficial half marathon in the snow.
In vivo
Um,
barefoots.
yeah, in vivo barefoots. And afterwards, then I just liked running. I enjoyed running. I enjoyed running by myself. And then my friend Imogen, big up Imogen, she was part of a run club called Pure Sport.
Yep.
And afterwards, she knew that I ran, but I didn't want to run with other people. And I was like, I don't want to run with other people. And afterwards, I think eventually she was like, oh, I signed up to like Paris Marathon 2023. And she's like, are you game? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah. Well, I was like, sure, I'll do it. And afterwards, she told me like October/November. And afterwards, I think it was just an excuse for me to start going to like a run club. So I started going to run club in the beginning of like January 2023, just to like run with people, just to get used to it and stuff like that. And then I think I was just like, I think I was using the app Runner, which now, full moment, I'm an ambassador. So I was using it, but I think I was just not using it.
Okay.
Like I was like, oh, I will replace, like, this was me not knowing how to run. It's like I was like, oh, I'll just replace this speed workout to do like just a run around 5K and stuff like that. So, and afterwards, I knew I was getting fit, and then I kept on using it. I kept on using the app, and I kept on going to run clubs. And then afterwards, the time came, um, and then I remember I was talking to my friend Rory. We were in Paris. We were in Paris. We were about to do the Paris Marathon, and then like I was like, I knew my runner app tells me like you're expected to get like 4:10 or 4:20. And I was like, oh no, I think I could actually do better than that. So like I must have had my Garmin. I was trying to change everything. And then I was like, okay, let me like try and stick to it. I think I tried to say I'll stick to a 5:30 pace. Never heard of that pace before, and I was like, cool. And I just put it in my thing, and then long story short, I got like 3:53.
Unreal.
Oh, so bear in mind, I still didn't wear proper running shoes. I was still wearing Vivo barefoots. So I ran the whole of Paris Marathon with Vivo barefoots. And then, yeah, as time goes, like, I think I just got introduced to more run clubs, more, attending more, different events, partaking. And then, like, I think eventually, I actually became a runner model first. And then doing the ads and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I just kind of just, yeah, I just started, officially, I'd say this, and she always says it to me. It's like, I think I just started running because of Imogen, and she said, just join the run club, join my run club. I was like, okay, whatever. So yeah, I haven't looked back since then. Just, yeah.
I love the little giggle there when you said I became a runner model, because I'd imagine like thinking back to, let's say, when you were like living out in Australia, or did you ever see that in your future, becoming a model for a runner
No,
brand?
to be honest, like for me, I never liked being in front of the camera.
Okay.
So I studied film and TV, um, and I basically was like a videographer as well. You can kind of see
I can
all
see
of
the
this
lenses behind you. I was
Zen
like,
lenses. Yeah,
yeah,
this is
man.
like a stuff
I
like
could.
that.
I know. I was kind of eyeing that stuff up before. I was
Yeah,
like, he's got loads of stuff behind
there's
him.
like a
That's sick, man.
3D. This is just like old,
Old
all of
video
this
camera
stuff.
type vibe.
Yeah, so you can even see a long one there. Um,
Yeah, man.
yeah, so I was videographer, then I liked being behind the camera, and afterwards then yeah, I just as time obviously I started making Johnny Meatless, and then I think it took me a long time to be in front of the camera, long time. Um And then I was like, oh, if I have to make this something, I have to be in front of it. And then, yeah, then also as time goes, like I got used to being in front of the camera. And then I remember, I think my first modeling gig was with my friends. They have like a clothing line called Sunday Miles.
Okay.
And then they were like, oh, do you want to like be a model? And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, it was me and Ev. Um, from Pure Sport and stuff like that. And we were just like, yeah, sure, I'll just model. And then that was like my first modeling gig. And then I think I just kind of just got used to. And then I remember someone messaged me from the runner team. This is when they were small. They had like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very small team. They're like, oh, do you want to like be one of the models? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Um, yeah, which is funny and stuff like that. I get like sent random pics of me sometimes saying, "Is this you?" And I'm like, "That is me.
That's me.
That is
Yeah,
me,"
that's
and
me.
stuff like that. That's me. I like, and it's always amusing when people are like, "I know you," and I'm like, and I kind of have to like gauge with them. I'm like, are they a runner or do they like food and stuff like that? Actually, I'll tell you a funny scenario. I was in the sauna a few weeks back. Bear in mind, this is a sauna, so I'm just sitting
Yeah.
down, and then like some random guy
Like,
was
I'm
just
trying to be
like,
quiet.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm just like in the corner, but like in the corner, of the sauna, and also it's a friend of mine, was like, he just came up to me, he's like, "Mate," I was like, "What?" "I think my missus knows you," and I was like, "What?" I was like, pardon? And he's like, you do ads, right?" I was like, I think so, yeah." She's like, "Oh yeah, she saw you," and I was like, "Oh my God," my heart. I was like, "Oh my God, thank God you said ads or stuff like that. This could have gone. We're both in towels," and I'm just like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Yeah, yeah." It's like, "Hey, she's seen you in ads," and she's like, "Oh," I was like, "Okay, cool, thing." And then she showed me you, and then I was like, "Yeah, that's the guy that goes to the gym." I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Hallelujah." Hallelujah. Yeah, that was a random detour, but yeah, I had to say that. Yeah. So yeah, it's always amusing where people try and recognize me from different directions in life, I guess.
Yeah, I think as well it's cool, isn't it? Because you mentioned before, you didn't want to run with anybody and then you kind of went to a run club and you got used to that and then that became part of your life. And then it's the
Yeah.
same with the modeling type thing, right? You never maybe foresaw it and then you've done it. And then like if somebody was asking you to do it now or be in front of camera, it won't bother you. That's the thing. It's like, it's that those things that you never think that would happen often turn out to be the best things, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like if I think a lot of it realistically came to when I was living in Australia because I was always very like stagnant. I was like, I'll say no to stuff, and after then I like had few mates there, and then like I think it just led to me. Everything was like no, 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 and then it just went no, yes, maybe, yeah. So then yeah, then since then like I've just said like I always just say yes to things. Like
Yeah.
if they say like if you call Johnny and they say Johnny, are you up for it? I'd probably say yes without even knowing what the actual thing
You
we're
don't
going
want
to
to say
be
that on a
doing.
podcast, Johnny. You don't want to say that on a podcast.
I'm like, what's happening? It's like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. So yeah, I think it's just trying to. So yeah, I try to say that to most people now, stuff like that. Like I'd say like as advice or maybe someone who's been in maybe just creating life, just like you should just start saying yes to things because you don't know what you could lead and stuff like that.
Yeah. Take the opportunities. I think that's so important. I just had in my head then, like, oh, we'll get Johnny back on the podcast when he's doing his triple Ironman that he's just randomly agreed to.
Yeah.
Like somebody brings you up, hey, do you fancy this, man? And you're like, yeah, it'd be absolutely fine, wouldn't it? Oh, it'll be good.
Yeah, yeah. Like someone said, Johnny, like we've signed you up for a triathlon. I'm like, or T100. I'm like, yeah, sure, sweet. My
Yes.
manager said, John, we
Good.
got you a position for T100. I'm like, yeah, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
But also briefly back a small segment. I actually technically can't. I can swim, but I can't swim. Long story short, I almost died in Byron Bay, but that's another day.
Well, I mean, I feel like that is probably a story we need to touch on before we wrap up, Johnny.
Yeah, it was basically like the same friends that I said yes to. Basically, we went to like Byron Bay, Australia, Christmas Day. Bear in mind, Christmas Day,
Okay.
and also then we were all of us were very intoxicated. And then like in Australia, like there's like the safe zone and then like the danger zone. And then the safe zone was like obviously where you can go. So I was
Yeah.
like basically touching the wall, like the bricks, the rocks. And then all of a sudden the rip was so strong, and then the rip just went, phew, and then I was like in the and no one told me that like you should be swimming with the rip, not against it. So I swam with it. No, I swam against it, and then like next thing you know, I was like I turned around and like I looked at the ocean, uh, like the sand, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so far away. And then like I started swimming, and then I stopped, and I was like, you know what, I can't swim. And then afterwards, and then I then eventually I was like, oh yeah, you know what, let me just start swimming. Also, side note, there's a side note. I dislocated my shoulder in Sri Lanka. That's the reason why I can't say I can't swim, because I dislocated my shoulder in Sri Lanka. But yeah, that's the reason why.
Oh man.
So then I was like, oh, let me just try and swim back. And so I swam back. So I need to relearn how to swim
Okay.
more, build confidence again.
Well, man, I'm happy you got it back, because that sounds like a pretty terrifying situation, to be honest. Look, let's wrap up here, man, because there's so much that I could cover with you. I would just implore everybody, if you don't follow Johnny on Instagram, to go and do that. And like, if you have ever thought about maybe injecting a little bit more of plant-based diet into your life, I think it's a really good stepping stone to do that, to follow somebody like Johnny, who's so passionate, who just like, you feel like a massive advocate for health as well, which feels really cool. So like, go and check his profile out. I know you're off to Chicago. I will say this probably will be out post Chicago. So
Hey,
we're gonna put some like we'll put some numbers down here, Johnny, if you're cool to do it. Like, what are you
yeah, sure.
hoping to do out there? What's the goal in Chicago?
Oh, the goal is to get as close to a sub 3 as possible and stuff like that. As close to, but like it's my runner's telling me like 3:15 to like 3:09, and with my last current, I did Copenhagen and I did Shrewsbury. Clearly, I was just trying to test the waters of like what 4:30 pace feels like, and I did for Copenhagen I did 4:23, and then for Shrewsbury I did like 4:33, 4:31. So it's just trying to test the like how good and both of them I felt really good. So I think now it's just trying to do the rest of the half,
Yeah.
and then but yeah, I'm just trying to, as this week is, I'm just trying to take it easy. But yeah, hopefully as close to the answer to your question is like maybe like a 3:05. I would be happy with a 3:05.
It's cool as well, though, isn't it? It's because this is it's all a journey, as with everything.
Yeah,
Like, this is all a journey. Like, if it doesn't happen this time, it doesn't really matter. I've been wanting to do a sub-3 marathon for my whole life, and it's never happened to this point. So it's like,
yeah.
it's if it doesn't happen, that's the beauty with running. It's like, shake it off, go again, move on, and give it another roll of the dice.
Yeah, 100%. Like I feel like if I get to as close to this like 3:05 or 3:07, 3:08, anything underneath 3:15 I'll be excited about. And then like anything happens next year I think will be the journey of trying to get that and stuff.
Sick. Final thing, man. I want to ask this. What's your favorite vegan dish? And if somebody was saying, oh, nah, like doubting plant-based living or plant-based eating, what would you give them?
Ooh, I think that's a great question. I'm gonna go for my like Southeast Asian roots and stuff like that, and just be like, I feel like you can having a good like fried rice and stuff like that, and then having like a side of like a meat alternative or like tofu and stuff like that. I feel like that's a great way of like introducing, like I've made like previous like Filipino dishes And I think people will love it. People will enjoy it and stuff like that. Like I feel like there's so much food out there. You just have to be open. I don't even think it's like plant-based or vegan. Just like order it and then just see what happens and stuff like that. I feel like everyone needs to be open about what they eat nowadays and just enjoy it.